Now constructing a rectangle is going to involve making a circle. So I'm going to draw my center point, and then I will construct my circle. Okay. So then, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw two diameters through this circle. Okay, so there's one diameter. And we'll do another diameter. Like that. Now the important thing here is you want to make sure that this angle right here is less than 90 degrees. Otherwise, when you finish your rectangle, it'll just look a little funky. I mean, you can still do it, but it'll look a little weird. Okay, so now to draw my rectangle, I'm just going to make these 4 points where you have the intersections with a circle. I want to make those the vertices, or the corners of the rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to label A, B, C, D. Now why is this a rectangle? Now first of all, let's look at the diagonals. That's the key. Notice that I drew two diameters for the diagonals. And that also means that each of these guys, half the diagonal is a radius for the circle. And that means the diagonals bisect each other. That means you have a parallelogram. Also, these diagonals are congruent, and a rectangle is a parallelogram with congruent diagonals. So just by using the circle and drawing the two diameters, we were able to construct a rectangle. Constructing a square is a similar process as constructing a rectangle, but slightly different. I'm going to start by drawing a center point and then a circle around it. And I hope you are making these constructions at home. It's definitely much more enriching if you can make the constructions instead of just watching them. Now I'm going to draw one diameter. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the perpendicular bisector of this diameter. I have to make my compass open a little bit wider for this. And I'm using each intersection with the circle for the diameter as points to put the compass to do the measuring from. There we go. Now when I draw my perpendicular bisector, I'm only going to draw the part that's inside the circle. Like that. Okay? So these two segments are perpendicular, or I should say these two diameters are perpendicular, and they're going to serve as the diagonals for the square. Okay, so why is this a square? Label it A, B, C, D. So why is this a square? Well, first of all, we have the same situation with a rectangle where these diagonals are radii of the circle, so they're all the same measure, which means the diagonals bisect each other, so you have a parallelogram. Also, the diagonals are congruent, so you have a rectangle. And finally, because we did a perpendicular bisector, the diagonals are perpendicular, which means you have a rhombus. And if you have a rectangle and a rhombus in the same shape, all those properties combine and you have a square. So the diagonals bisect each other, they are congruent and perpendicular. Therefore, ABCD is a square. So that's how you construct a rhombus, a rectangle, and a square.